and tonight we're doing Dream Scenario. It's my dream scenario because it's a Nick Cage film evening. That's right. I love my Nick Cage. Seen his dozens, probably not. I don't know about hundreds of his films yet because he's in the triple digits, but always ready to see.
That's so crazy.
He's got. I think I have a.
He's prolific.
Prolific, yeah. He's hard up for money, and there's a couple decades in there where he would do, for 15 years or so, he would just do 8-9 movies a year. He still does those random crappy ones, and I like those, and I like the real ones too, like these kind of ones. That has.
Why would he be so hard up for money? How many? I know he's got at least one ex-wife. Does he have?
He's got
more than one. I think
he's got like money. 3 or 4, and also also he's. I mean, no, he does not strike me as one who's he is nepo baby adjacent, so he's nepo family. So it's there you go. He's probably doesn't. He probably sees things differently. Anyway, dream scenario. I've been excited for this one, other than just Nick Cage. It looked. It's got the old A24 hooking me in with its indie stuff. Were any interest going in?
Well, yeah, I mean, I like me a good A24 movie. I can do a good Nick Cage. I actually watched Moonstruck earlier this weekend, and I'm always surprised by how much I really like that movie.
It holds up.
It holds up, and the performances that hold up. I mean, Nick Cage, it's Nick Cage and Cher. You kind of have to just put that in a box and live with it. You know what I mean? That's
part of why it's shockingly good, is because they're not a regular rom-com pair, but they have a weird chemistry, and it's a really good direct. I think it's a Norman Jewison movie. So it's got a steady hand behind it. But those two performances are very strange, but it works. It works. I had never seen it obviously when it came out, but I had seen it for the first time a couple years ago. It's good.
Yeah, and their relationship is not conventional, and you would think that it would be a hard sell, and it's totally not a hard sell. Like, it works really good, and Olympia Dukakis is great in it, and I don't know, everything about it is just really super charming. And so maybe I was getting myself hyped to see this.
There's also a charming age gap pairing in this for a scene, so maybe we can make some parallels.
A charming age gap? That's a really bad...
A family man.
Segue of words.
A family man finds his life turned upside down when millions of strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. I guess we haven't really even said the premise. However, when his nighttime appearances take a nightmarish turn, he's forced to navigate the consequences of his newfound stardom. 92% Rotten Tomatoes, 69% with the audience, 7.4 IMDb, 74 Metacritic. So high critics, a little bit lower but positive audience, and then upper middle IMDb meta. So that's actually a pretty typical A24 score, now that I think about it. And if you haven't seen it, it's in theaters, not streaming anywhere. We'll go into the supporting cast because it's the main character show, but lots of faces and people you'll recognize popping up here, and a lot of sketch type things. And as I said, it's all about a guy. He showed up in dreams, and I'll say that we're gonna spoil it here. We're gonna spoil it here now, and now we're going to the part where I actually go into the part. I almost jumped just slightly. Paul Matthews, mild-mannered biology professor, and he's mild-mannered, really basic kind of guy. Has a nice life.
Mild-mannered is too generous, almost.
All right, he's got a nice life, and he's a deeply insecure middle 50s man.
Yes.
Those are his defining characteristics. He's a professor. He doesn't feel like he's lived up to his potential, so he's deeply insecure about this paper that he never wrote. And he's got 2 teenage daughters who everyone, I said his wife, we love you, but you're a lame idiot dad kind of thing. So there you go. And one day, kind of slowly and doled out kind of well, in my opinion, we kind of see that people are recognizing him. He gets recognized by an ex who's also, what is she now, a reporter or something? She's, and so he's getting slowly recognized for, you pop it up. I just saw you in my dream, or, do I recognize you from somewhere? And you learn that everyone is simultaneously dreaming of him in their dreams. Everyone in the whole world, apparently, pretty much. Not quite everybody.
Not everyone.
Not quite everybody.
No.
But a giant, he's showing up inexplicably to lots and lots of people's dreams, like his students.
Yes.
People are recognizing him. And he's pretty much always in those dreams doing nothing, standing there
innocuous.
watching. A lot of times really bad and crazy things are happening, earthquakes and dangerous things, and Paul is just kind of hanging out, standing there, waving, raking the leaves, doing innocuous things. So Paul he loves his newfound stardom, but as a deeply insecure man in his 50s who's balding and feels like maybe I've got everything I want, right? But what am I still missing? Why am I still so insecure? I got all this fame now, and now he's got to deal with that because there are consequences to the fame. Bad things start to happen, and I can just leave it at that. It's a lot of sketches after that. It's like it's like 10 minutes of different ideas back and back and back and back, and yeah. Mama K, what'd you think of Dream Scenario?
Yeah. I was really concerned about Dream Scenario, honestly, because I am a very vivid dreamer, and I think you know this about me. And my dreams tend to like veer toward nightmare scenarios, but typically don't go into like full on nightmare stuff. So I fully thought that after I saw this movie, I was going to dream about Paul, and then
that'd be nice.
Then I would wake up and be 100% freaked out that I'm probably going to dream about him forever, because that's all I can think about is not dreaming about him, and those are the things that I dream about. Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't dream about him. So, I mean, that makes it even better for me to be able to do this review, because if I were dreaming about him, I saw this movie 3 or 4 days ago, I would be a basket case, because I would not be going to sleep now, because that wouldn't work for me.
But he doesn't do anything to you. Well, at least not at first.
Right, not at first. And, if I know my subconscious, I would skip over innocuous Paul and go directly to murder Paul. Or we assume murder Paul.
Yeah, he's got a crossbow sometimes.
A couple times.
Sometimes he just sprints at you in the dark. That's pretty terrifying.
Well, I'm a little, there's a couple of things that are a little, I don't know whether there are things that are let go or that were confusing, or we're supposed to just come to our own conclusions. But, he does have a variety of people that dream about him. And one of them is his youngest daughter. And this is never addressed in the movie, that she's one of the people that dreams about him.
Who doesn't dream about him other than his wife, though? Does anyone else make...
I don't think his older daughter dreams about him. I think it's all the younger daughter, isn't it? It starts with her sitting by the pool, and...
that is what kicks it off. You're right. That's the first, you were in my dream last night. That's the first instance we get. And he's raking the leaves, and while everything's falling apart around, and he's like, "It's okay, honey." But
yeah,
do we get it?
She never addresses it once things change, and he whatever, when he affects, that's the twist in this, is that at some point he affects how he behaves in people's dreams, and he doesn't.
Well, he doesn't understand that maybe that's what he's doing, or he doesn't understand his connection, and he doesn't. Do they make a point? Do you remember if they make a point that the older daughter does or doesn't dream of him, or is it just not brought up?
I don't think it's ever brought up, because it's a point with his wife, because that makes sense. They have, their type of relationship is a very different type of intimate relationship than he would have with his kids, and she, there's a point in it, and it comes back at the end of the movie so that we know, it's a pivotal piece of information that we need to know, that she doesn't dream about him. So,
I think
this is such an interesting take on just fame in general, and how anonymity and how cancel culture is just, he's the poster boy for cancel culture, right? There's nothing you can do about it. It happens. And for him, it's not anything he's done, except for being such a white bread milquetoast person that it sounds terrible, but I almost feel like he deserves it.
I wrote it down. I'm like, I bet he's gonna have a hard time sympathizing with our hero, Paul, or not hero, our protagonist, Paul. This is after coming off the holdover. After coming off the holdovers, I'm like, yeah, okay, not feeling sympathetic to the schlubby middle-aged guy who's feeling sorry for himself, even though things seem not that bad.
That's true, but the difference between, now looking back, because I did think about that we did just see another middle-aged man movie.
Although to be fair, Paul Giamatti much more dire straits in that than this. Paul's objectively has a better life, whether his internal turmoil, but objectively a better life.
Objectively a better life, and a happier person in general, I think. I mean, he definitely takes, he gets happiness derived from what he does. Whether or not what he does is anything that would make most people happy it's another story, but I just get the feeling that Nicolas Cage is just like whomping through life, like, and he's like you said, he's waiting for this stuff to happen. He's waiting for the book he wants to write to be written. He's waiting for, people to recognize that he has this, brilliant idea about ant psychology or whatever. And the thing about it is there's a lot of women in this movie. Basically, all of them are women. And is that a problematic piece?
Is that on purpose? Like, what do you mean? Like, problematic?
Yeah, is it on purpose? Why is the person that he used to be colleagues with the one that, says, I've been dreaming about you? And then that's a female character. The one
that's for the
who
one, yeah.
He thinks is stealing his ant psychology story or whatever it is. That's another woman too. I mean, men are completely like, there are no men in this movie.
I disagree with you on the men thing, because there are a bunch of men. There's Michael Cera, who's the viral marketing firm leader, and he's the main douchebag man. Then you also have the Dylan Baker character, the colleague who throws the dinner parties. That's another significant like rival man character.
But neither one of those characters. Neither one of those characters are the most important people in those scenarios. Like the dinner partner guy, his wife is the one that's important. And then in the scene with Michael Cera and all of the, I felt like I was sort of watching, I don't know what I felt like I was watching there, but it was very weird. The women that are there, the woman specifically is the one that's important in also, that scenario.
I was going to say the third man was Tim Meadows. Tim Meadows is also a character, the dean.
That's true. Out of nowhere, Tim Meadows.
We got a full cast in here. There's a lot of pop-ins.
We do.
But no, I see what you're saying. But like the only reason the women are important because there's sexual blocks with him and his wife. It's the old colleague and the woman who's the assistant Molly. But the other woman, the woman who steals his work. I don't get a woman like that. I don't think that character has to be a woman. I don't think that was a threat, because he feels threatened by other colleagues, not just I don't get a gender threat from, because he's threatened he's threatened by the other guy. He's threatened. If he were only threatened by the woman, I get no indication that he's a misogynist by like just automatic like that way. I don't think he thinks. I don't get indications from his character.
No, I'm not. Like I don't think that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that his character is a misogynist. I think it's very interesting that all the people in his life are these.
It's not all the people. It's only you're pointing at
Tim Meadows is maybe the only other one. I don't really.
Michael Cera is just as much.
He's not the most important person there, though.
Michael Cera is. It's not about. But why is in your opinion, the sexy scene more important than the viral marketing sitting in the thing? Like, why is his relationship more? Why is the relationship more important than his career? He's insecure about his career, but he's also insecure about himself and his relationship. But why do you think that is more important here?
The Molly is way more important because she's the turning point in the movie. Like what he did by trying to recreate her dream Paul changed how he appears in people's dreams.
Yeah, well, I would say that made him. I think the thing that broke him was because right after that is when he gets mad at the woman for going through with the book, right? Like he gets that afterwards. That's when all the bad dream starts happening. Is he does that, and then the woman goes through with the book, and then that's when things start going bad. Is he's used his fame wrong, and he's still petty about things he shouldn't be petty about.
I didn't think that I consider that the turning point at all. I really considered the fact that he was now interacting with Dream Paul. Like that's why the change happened.
Oh, you think like Paul? You think Dream Paul like trades places with him or something? Like it steals his body? Like it's a spirit?
No, I mean maybe that's
a different movie. I would like to watch that too. That's an interesting concept. Actually, I like that.
It's not an explainable reason anyway, because there's no reason why everyone starts to dream about him. I think the catalyst that changed how everybody dreams about him is when I think it's actually a really like critical point that because he's interacting as Dream Paul as opposed to just.
I like. You know, I'll say I'll flip on that scene because I like that scene because it gives agency to Molly, and as Molly's not just like a bimbo who just like is like object. She specifically wants Paul because he's famous and she has these weird sex dreams, but like she doesn't give a shit about him at all. Like when he does anything that's not like exactly what she has in the dream, she's like no, just don't talk at all. Right. Stand exactly right. And we see it. The film editing does it too. We see like little flashes, like, oh, he looks like the dark figure in the corner, like she wants. She doesn't want him to be Paul, the actual Paul. She wants him to be the dream representation. So I like that's a good. I like that scene because it's not just a lesser movie is this is old guy, young girl exploitation, like I'll do anything for you kind of scene, but she has the agency here and she's like, no, just exactly not like that. And then the punchline has to be he's the fool who comes too early in his pants. But I was just what did we do recently? Priscilla, and like a movie that I enjoyed watching, but like no agency for that character. These are ones where like I like that the characters, the other ones that he interacts with, the other characters, maybe not Tim Meadows, have agency for the most part. They make choices that affect things.
Right.
And you wouldn't expect that from the hot girl seduction character, you know? Like you would expect that to be, or maybe Michael Cera's paying her off to get him to do the Sprite ad. Be like whatever, but like
that's a big payoff. But I mean, I thought about that, but then when I realized that she actually like this was. It has nothing to do with Paul the person. It just has to do with this recurring dream.
Yeah, she has this very specific thing, and she's probably if she had this weird thing about any guy, she could probably like, yeah, he'll do whatever I say because I'm me, and like he'll do whatever I say, and then as soon as I get exactly the thing I need, I'll just get rid of him because that's it, and I think that's a completely a reasonable, more interesting character trait. So I hear you on the women thing, but I think he has enough substantial interactions with all characters and not just the women in the complex that way, which is I want to know why he's so insecure a little bit. I because in the end it's a tragic ending because he does not. It's almost amazing. It's an amazing tragic ending written wise. I wish it were more cinematic. I don't know if it's the direction and he just couldn't quite bring this script to life or something, but like the ending's really well like poetically done. But I don't know, like he has to learn, but has he actually learned or changed? Like does he understand why his life fell apart and that it's not just because he got famous and that it's because of the choices he made and like that he didn't work his own problems out?
I don't know I mean he does realize that, and maybe did you think that the writer or the director or whatever cheated by leaving that breadcrumb early in the movie about, you know, his wife not dreaming about him and not, you know, what would you dream? It was basically, what would you dream about me if you could dream about me? What would it be like, you know? And he said, I don't remember what he said, but it sounded so banal. And then she's like, no, I want you to save me. And I want you to be dressed in, you know, the David Byrne Stop Making Sense giant suit. And
she wants him to take action. She wants him to do something. That's what she wants. Like she wants him to. That's why maybe he does realize that when he does his little thing at the end, and like maybe I didn't read that well enough then, or maybe it just didn't come across to be strong enough in the moment. Because
I think he totally made a change in his personality because he wouldn't have done that before. And, you know, even, you know, at the beginning, he goes to talk to this woman to try to, you know, tell him that he needs to be part owner of this paper that she's writing.
Yeah.
And he says he's going to do all these things and be this certain way. And we find out from a recording that he's basically just a whiny bitch about it.
Yes.
And that, you know, it doesn't go his way. So he tells his wife he didn't record it. So he's not, you know, he has a lot to learn at that point. And I think by the end, we've seen that. Such a tragic way to have to learn this because now he's infamous for something that he had no control over.
I am your nightmare.
Yeah,
it's so fucking funny. That's why I wish it. I don't know if it's the cinematic language here. The director and writer is Kristoffer Borgli, who wrote and directed one other movie. It's not an American gentleman, a
Mm.
Norwegian gentleman. So
Right.
this is his second or possibly looks like third film, first U.S. English speaking. And I feel like I love he gets his book, and he gets his fame, but it's sad because he didn't earn it. He didn't do it because he didn't earn it. He didn't do the hard work that was necessary to like get his mind right and actually like put the thing through, because he was too crippled by all his insecurities to ever do anything.
Right.
And he had to learn that by losing by the fame thrust upon him took away, his family, or not, like literally took away, but I mean, it took his,
Yeah.
took his life, and now he's living with, this is what you always wanted, right? Like you got your magic wish, so the monkey's paw, or the genie's, not the monkey's paw, the genie's wish, and you're living with the consequences. I think too, like if he had maybe like, you could make the poetic version where things do work out and he does learn the lesson while he retains the fame. If you wanted to make like a more palatable, like big huggy PG-13 version of this movie, that was more accessible, because you could like have him learn all these things earlier, or like make the changes before whenever he starts dreaming of him horribly, realize it's because of his own internal choices to do things horribly. Like people saw him in the dream for the first time doing nothing because he does nothing, and his wife didn't dream of him at all, because like that, of all the people who you're supposed to have thinking about, you care so much about everyone else thinks, you're not thinking about like what you're actually like doing at home. You're just worried about your little thing.
Right.
I wish I kind of, and I'm kind of making these connections because I wish I got more of that that idea.
Yeah. None of that spelled out for you, and maybe by pointing out that the writer-director is Norwegian says a lot, because American movies in general, they don't want to, especially this kind of a movie, which is not, it's not a crash and bang up movie.
It's a Charlie Kaufman movie, but a little more palatable. Maybe like a Noah Baumbach movie, but nicer.
I knew you're gonna say that.
Charlie Kaufman's
Noah
better.
Baumbach, but not quite as self-indulgent.
It's closer to Charlie. Charlie Kaufman was or Spike Jonze, or were the first ones. Noah Baumbach's meaner, and like his heart's in a different place. Noah Baumbach wants to say different things than what this guy wants to say.
No, I feel like it is a cultural thing. Like, you can have movies like this in Norway and Sweden and Finland and places like that, where it's a very uncomfortable movie to watch, because Nick Cage is playing a really uncomfortable character, and you really don't ever know what's going to happen next. And there are things that are happening that they don't explain. And that's partly, like in America, we want it all spelt out for us. We want it, A plus B equals C. And, I'm kind of charmed by the fact that it didn't end, great. Like he wasn't able to get back where he was, but I think I could feel like he was more, he was a better person for himself. Like he definitely had more agency and was able to just be, I don't know, more. The funniest part of I mean, it shouldn't be a funny movie. I know they're saying it's a comedy.
I laughed a lot. And our audience,
but
I saw a medium crowded audience. I don't know if we talked about theater experience yet, but a medium crowded late show Saturday night audience. So I don't know, maybe 20 other people in there, and like a medium small theater. Lots of laughs, solid laughs. No bad. I saw two theater movies back to back. I hadn't done that in the theater forever, and both crowds, really great crowds. Like no problem. People laughed when they were supposed to laugh, gasped when they were supposed to gasp at things. Like everyone was on board. It was good theater going experience for this and Saltburn. When I talk about Saltburn later on, good crowds.
Well, I was concerned because we had to go a little ways away to see it. It wasn't playing super local for us, and it's a bit more of a bougier town. And we walked in, and there were, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 other people in there, which is not unusual for a Friday night in Maine. So, it was pouring, it was freezing out. It was So there were a couple of women sitting behind, and we only got there a few minutes before previews started, and they talked through all the previews, and I thought, oh, this is going to be this. This is what's going to happen. They're going to talk through this movie. And they didn't, but they were responsive appropriately, I thought, and so were the other six people that were in the back. So I was like, who is in here seeing this movie? And it was mostly like the people behind us, older women. I think that maybe there was one other guy. And I'm like, what is the draw for like
I guess they just, I mean, maybe older. The thing is, like, older people now are different than the old people we were used to. I mean, they're gonna like cooler stuff, maybe. I don't know, like, because we're, you're older, I'm older now, so like maybe we're just cooler now, or maybe we're super lame. This is a lame. Maybe. This movie's actually really lame, and no one under 25 would
exactly.
Like it. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, you definitely are going to be able to relate to these characters, being that they're, on the middle age. I mean, they are kind of actually older to have these two teenage daughters. I think that they're kind of, they're both set in their careers, it looks like, before they decided to have a family, that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I was a little, concerned with maybe there's just like a huge Nicolas Cage fan area that I don't know about.
No, they call that the planet Earth. I mean, that's the huge Nicolas Cage fan area. It's
is it though?
It's pretty much the sea to shining sea to shining sea. It's all smiles for the Cage.
No, I can really only think of a few movies that
we'll have to do. I'll have to do my top 100 one of these times. Top 100 Nick Cage performances, because
Jesus,
that would be a word. I wanted to. I don't know if you have other parts, but would you want this? Like, could you like? And if, like, you probably wouldn't, but we'll start with, would you want this? And then I'll tweak the question if you don't.
Okay. Would I want what?
What this? Paul gets. Paul, everyone dreams of you, but nothing, but you don't, you're a benign bystander for a couple weeks. And then.
No, absolutely not. If I got this, it would have to be based on my characteristics as a person now.
But would you want that, actually? Would you want your biggest flaws and insecurities exposed to everybody? Like, you'll be doing whatever you don't want to be doing the most. That's what you'll be doing. What Paul doesn't want everyone to see is him being inactive. So whatever it is that you're most afraid of, you don't want everyone to watch you do. That's probably what they're all going to be imagining you doing, and then you're going to have to say, everyone's going to be like, "Wow, you're that famous lady who does this," and you're going to be like, "Oh, yeah, was I doing anything other than that though?" And they're like, "Nope, you were always doing it every time." Like,
I feel like I do so many things though that it would be hard to pigeonhole the absolute worst.
It'll know,
because there's so many bad things that I do.
The dream genie will know what horrible thing will push your buttons the worst. And
well, but is it one thing? Does it have to just, because for Paul it's just him?
It is, but it's
not. It is one thing.
Different people can push his his colleague can push his insecurity button a different way than the hot girl who dreams his sex dreams about him can push his button differently than his daughter can. So like whatever your general button is, the dream will find all the different types of people to push it.
Well, we figure out, we find, we didn't really even talk about this, we alluded it to a little bit, that, he goes from being benign to actually being a really nasty killer type person. And so I'm not sure, no, I don't want that. I don't want to be involved in any of that kind of stuff. And I don't see how that is the opposite of benign, becoming a killer. Like, why was it that? Why I don't think it was. Why did that happen?
I don't know if it was the opposite. I think it reflects on kind of what you're doing with. It reflects like who you are, and I think if he's that insecure person, if you took that insecure person all of a sudden and made them super famous and put scrutiny on them, they would actually be horrible. They would be terrible. They would because they can't handle the comment section. Like, that's the truth. If you become famous and you can't handle the comment section, you shouldn't be famous, because people are going to shit on you and say horrible things about you and and some of them are going to be right. That's the worst part, is some of them are going to be right about things, and those are the ones that are going to really hurt you a lot. And so you have to be like strong enough in yourself to be like, all right, like, people know the things that I suck, and they're coming at me, and everyone's coming at me, and he's got to be ready. And the truth is, an average person with that kind of pressure would be bad, because they would crumble and lash out. They would
fold, yeah.
And he would post a crazy video where he's like, I'm rambling and I feel sorry for me, and everyone's like, well, that's a crazy video. Why did you post that, Paul? Like, that's not an apology. You just rambled for 10 minutes about how it's so hard being you. That's not what people wanted to hear. So
well, what did the people want to hear though?
People wanted to. I don't know what people. Let me think about it. I would have to really think about what people wanted to hear.
Well, because I did think about that when it happened. When he decided. People kept saying, "Paul, you have to say something about this," and he was he was doing the same thing that probably anyone would do, would be like, I don't know what to tell you. This is not me. This is somebody you're dreaming about that looks like me, but it is not me. So how else do you deal with that? Sure, I think he did the only thing you can do. Maybe it just didn't seem sincere coming from him.
It didn't seem sincere because he didn't know how to. It didn't seem sincere because he wasn't sincere. He didn't sincerely want him to be not in their dreams. He sincerely wanted them to stop hating him, and those are two different things. I wasn't sure I got that from it. I just thought he wanted. I didn't think in the moment when he posts that video and he's ranting that he himself is like, I just want you guys to stop hurting. He's saying, I want me to stop hurting because you're all saying mean things and I want you to, like, if he were really changed and grown, he would say something like, I'm sorry I that you're all getting attacked by me in these dreams. And then he would try to make a connection. He would be like, and this is what I didn't get, like, I had a thing in my childhood, or I had a person in my life when I was who wronged me, and try to connect that way and be like, it must be so hard having me be that person to you every night, and I'm so sorry you have to go through it. Like, he has no tact. He didn't think about it. He didn't think about what he was hurting and how to save those people. Instead, he was just like, well, it's not my fault that I'm showing up, but do you know how hard this must be for me? Like,
he needed a publicist big time.
Yeah, one that was not primarily concerned with Sprite, although
not a public. That was somebody who's just latching onto the tailcoat and yeah.
You think he had Obama? You think he ever had Obama? I don't know
if never had Obama.
I don't know if Michael Cera really knew Obama.
They had to say the most ridiculous things to keep him interested, because doing a Sprite commercial, what is more removed? Sprite? When was the last time you saw a Sprite commercial?
I see Sprite commercials. You might just be the target demographic.
Am I not the Sprite demographic?
I think the algorithm knows who to target, and you do not strike them as a Sprite person. We get it. We get them.
Is that why he didn't like Sprite either? Just because he's not? I mean, maybe if they said, Dr. Pepper wouldn't work for sure.
That's a good point. If they did just basic like census demographics, you and Paul would be in similar Venn diagram circles for a lot of advertising, so that's possible.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I mean, if we're just black and white looking at numbers on paper, I mean, you guys share a lot of categories in the old demographic buckets, but
they have a really nice house. I got to give them that.
That's one of the demographics you guys share. You guys both on that side. It's worked out.
I wasn't pointing it out for that reason. All I kept thinking was like, for two people who don't, I mean, she's like, what, maybe an architect or something? I'm not exactly clear on what she does. And then he's got tenure at a university for teaching biology. That's not $100K a year. So I'm trying to figure out,
maybe
the money.
He has, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I mean,
also, if he has tenure somewhere, he's had to publish all these years. So this whole, somebody's going to pull my white paper out from underneath me seems a little contrived.
Is this something someone in academia would know? Because I don't know these things. I don't know. I
guess, but you think about professors and everybody. Maybe it's something that people only in academia.
I say you've worked in academia for decades now. Like,
I have,
even just adjacently. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know.
Just want to be clear that I've not stolen any pharmaceutical white paper information from any of the faculty that I worked with. So
no information stolen.
Just to be clear,
I liked this a lot in like lots of parts. It's not quite some of its parts though. I like all the parts better than the sum here, which is a better problem to have than some of the other ones. There's worse problems to have, because like I think of all this, there's a bunch of scenes I think about and I'm just like, I was laughing in that scene, I was cringing in that scene.
The bookstore scene was amazing.
Which one's the bookstore scene?
The books. So he finally publishes a book, right? And it gets nobody wants to sell it. He does have somebody who's working for him trying to get him. I can't remember who it is. Trying to get him, into bookstores and stuff to sign his book, and so he finally has to go to France.
Oh yeah, that's at the end when he's in the little basement.
And there's this huge crowd at this French bookstore, and it winds up being for something, I forgot what it was, but it was something really inane, like game night or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we had to put you into our other space, and it's down in the basement, and the book is called something terrible in French, like it's not even related.
Instead of being dream scenario, it's retitled "I Am Your Nightmare," and
yes, that's right, I Am Your Nightmare,
which is my favorite. Like, it's my favorite title. It's "I Am Your Nightmare." It's perfect. That's exactly what his book should be called.
Yeah. Well, so there's a point. So right before the end, this new technology, quote unquote, comes out about a sort of Apple Watch kind of thing that you wear on your wrist, and you can dream jump by simply meditating and I don't know how, accessing people's dreams. I'm never clear if the other person has to be wearing, one of your dream watches.
It depends on the rules of the sci-fi that they're using. I mean,
yeah, I don't like the rule if you don't have to wear it. Like, if I am not interested in this at all, I don't want somebody jumping into my dreams.
Well, I'm sure. Yes, if this were real, you would not like that. But I mean, in the sci-fi, when you're writing something, yes, I understand what you're saying. In real life, if it makes you feel better, like, think about how hard it is to connect devices in your house when you're trying to. Now you're trying to hack into someone's brain with your Wi-Fi. Yeah, I mean, like, we're gonna get good, but not good that quick. Not in your lifetime. You'll be fine.
I don't know. Starlink, hard to,
I might have to worry about people hacking my brains. You'll probably have lived your life by then. So
all the good hacking will be gone.
You'll have caught a nice tail end of good technology. Could have a worse existence.
I've already been at the beginning. Like, this is, everything new is good. I just don't want one of those things around my wrists. And all I could think of is I just recently had a conversation with people who are like, I have to take everything off before I go to bed. Like, I can't sleep with any of my rings on bracelets or earrings or anything like that. Were you part of that conversation?
I don't remember if I was, but like I got a Fitbit for thanks Christmas, because we did Christmas at Thanksgiving this year, and yeah. So I've just now been wearing a thing to, like, the Fitbit to bed, like, to sleep, for sleep monitoring. Yeah, and I've never worn anything, any jewelry. Like, all jewelry comes off, like wedding ring. Not that I wear a lot of jewelry, but it honestly. Right. I don't notice it at all. I thought it would take some getting used to. Nothing. Like, almost no noticing. And honestly, I like now looking at my wrist for time, looking at my heart rate. Like, this is kind of beginning of cyborg. Like, I am excited for more augments to my
information junkie.
I want more augments. I want to go David Cronenberg and get, like, technology embedded in my brain and, like, my eyes and my arm. Like, I want the Google Glass, but, like, in my eyes,
Yeah, that's going to require, like, some shots in your eyes, and that's a no-go for me.
Yeah, see, like I said, we're too but that's in the future we'll be there, but, like, I might be too old by then for it to be, by the time it's good, by the time technology's good, I might not get to see that. So yeah. I'll just be happy that I got my Fitbit.
Well, I mean, at the end, he goes back and through this dream scenario thing with Nick Braun.
Our boy, Succession alum.
We were both like, who's that guy? I can't think of who it is. Then all of a sudden I was like, Greg Egg.
I was like, who's the tallest guy ever? It's the
But he doesn't look super tall there, though, because he's not with a bunch of people.
No, they don't. They don't make him look like gangly Greg. Or I've seen him in other roles where he's pretty much that archetype. I haven't seen him outside that archetype yet.
When you can't see him compared to other people, I'm shocked at how much he just, like, goes into the back of my head. Like, nope, I don't know him. I know I've seen him, but I don't know who he is.
The advertising in the dreams is like a good another Black Mirror episode concept where, like, it's almost too much to introduce in the last 5 minutes to be like, wait, that's a whole other movie. That's a 3-hour thriller. Like, that's a huge movie. And then, like, nope, that's just like share a button hook joke to get to the end of our little bookstore story, So it's stuff like that where, like, good problem to have. Lots of every scene is like a new, like, oh, you could do a whole thing with this. Like, you could do a whole dinner party thing. You could do a whole
I was thinking about dinner party.
Yeah, the ads. They tease it enough. For, like, you could do a whole ad espionage movie where you put people, like, a parody of Inception with Sprite. Like, there's a lot of so much good ideas to mine, and it's only like an hour and 40, and it's kind of cramped. Like, it's got good laughs per second. There's something missing, though. It's not the sum of its parts. It's not like an instant classic. It's not. It doesn't like. I'm even hesitating if it's going to make my top 5 because it's been a good year for me. Like it's a top 10er probably, but it's
Do you think
stiff
it's
competition
because...
at the top for me.
But why do you think that is? Why do you think it's not the top? I have a thought for me why it's not.
But the best I could do is not some of it's not like disciplined enough to finish its full thing. Maybe like Paul not writing his thing. Like it's bursting with it's like Charlie Kaufman movie if like you tightened it up for like mainstream people but still didn't quite like know how to, like I said, like the written ending's very good that he has to go in the basement and he gets everything he wanted, but it's in that twisted wrong way, and he loses his wife, and then he realizes I finally get her, and he writes the joke earlier in with the Talking Heads guy, and he goes and like he does all the work to make the story work, and I'm just not. And even the performance is good. Like, even Nick Cage is like, he's doing like a real good performance, like he did in Pig, and not like a crazy person performance like in Unbearable Weight. Like, he's like a real good Nick Cage version. And it's just not coming all together. And I don't have like it's just not like done. It's just not finished. It's not full. But everything's very good about it is the frustrating part.
Mm-hmm. I think that is also true. I think it's true for me too, watching the movie, that it does feel like there's a lot of things, and it's not like you're not following the string of what's happening in the movie. It's not like
never lost.
There's not a twist. There's none of that. That's not the problem for me. I think it's just the fact that it's a damning look on society, and you pick somebody to be your main character who is the most innocuous person in society. Like, there's nothing special about this man. Nothing. And people are always told that you've got, everybody has something. Everybody has a little something that does this or some, is different or makes them, cool or makes them quirky or whatever. It makes them something. This man possesses zero of anything. He has no charisma. He has no, he feels like he doesn't live in our world. That's it for me, is like, I don't know anybody that's this. If I met somebody that's sort of this bland, they would also be more Paul Giamatti quirky. Like, they would be.
You're saying anyone who's gotten this far should be more adjusted?
No, not that they're more adjusted, but that you would see the reason for, like, he's not a sad sack. He's not a woe is me. He's not living in his basement. I mean, he is at the end, and it's somebody else's basement. But he's not that. He's not like on some sort of, scale of autism or whatever, which I feel like Paul Giamatti's character
but like the man, this character, Paul, we're saying Paul in this and Paul Giamatti in that. I think his name is also Paul in that movie, if I recall. So all the Pauls.
It is.
So
many Pauls.
Paul, just cheer up, Paul. You don't have to be so down. If Paul had Paul's problems. If Nick Cage Paul had Paul Giamatti's problems in the other one, if he were a little bit shorter, a little bit stinkier, a little bit, he had some bad luck with the admissions thing. He family issues, if I remember. No mom, dad hates him, something like that. If Nick Cage had worse starting points, I think he would have also been Paul Giamatti and been the sad, lonely professor, and not even gotten the girl and not have had the children, because his confidence was never there. He got by probably because young Nick Cage was probably just good looking enough. He had he got a career, so he's competent. He probably came from a good enough family who loved him enough, so he got good enough grades, passed through, but he was always longing, searching, never complete, and that's the difference. But like. The Pauls have the same issue. Paul Giamatti has just had a harder go of it because the world was less kind to him, and then the world was a little bit kinder to this Paul, but he's not any significantly more happy or more fulfilled. He's just better off on the superficial things because he's superficially better off. Like, he is superficially better. So
yeah, I just feel like he's a C-, and that's quite possibly the worst thing to be. You can't take the class over.
But he always
was. The grade.
He's a C student, and he got a teacher that was a nice teacher, so he gave him C pluses and B minuses. And Paul Giamatti was a C student who had a mean teacher who gave him Fs. They did the same shit, but like they had different teachers. Different parents, different ways society treated them. They both are the same insecure loser who just needs to figure out, hey, if you actually become good at things and work on yourself, then that's what will make other people like you, is being competent and good at things and not worried about yourself so hard.
Yeah, you don't even have to be good at things. You just have to be confident.
Competent, I would say. Competent. You have to be confident, but you also have to be
confident or I don't even know.
But what if you're really bad? Like, what if you're like, oh man, I'm like a great plumber, and everyone's house is just exploding with like. You have to actually be able to. Like, I agree with you. Confidence is key, but you also have to do the work to like make A go to B, because some things need.
Yeah, I don't think you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are people who have they're really confident about things that they shouldn't be confident about, I guess. But I mean, confident kind of goes with competence hand in hand. Even if you're faking
more competent,
you're
exactly. Fake it till you make it. More confident, more confident, more confident, more confident.
Yeah. There we go. There's the book right there.
Well, that's what he was supposed to learn. I mean, at the end, he almost learned it a little bit. Is that like, what did he learn? He learned.
He learned that he needed to dress up in the David Byrne outfit just like his wife wanted him to.
He was supposed to pay attention to his wife and not about a stupid book no one cared about, because no one cares about him except his wife and his kids. So maybe he should focus on that.
Yeah.
But he didn't. So.
And not some book he never wrote.
Yeah. Well, now he's got that really short, horrible book with the wrong title that he gets hit, that people in France know, and gets hit in the head. So there you go.
I do love that how they're going. I mean, the guy, now thinking about it, the guy's a European. He's a European writer director from Northern Europe, and it seems like he's shitting on Southern Europe by being like, yeah, they'll dig this dude 100% because they're Southern Europe.
It's like, you think he's doing that? That's funny. I wonder.
I do.
That's funny. I didn't think of that. Oh, that's so good. He's Norwegian. He's like, yeah, the French probably like this guy.
Of course, the French are going to like him, and probably, I mean, maybe the Spanish, definitely the Portuguese.
Oh my God, there's no way he hears this, but if he hears this, please message me if that's who that is, because it's so funny. I didn't think about that.
We love it so much.
I like catty, non-American humor, because America, because we're the pop culture export. We only know we're so America-centric, but the rest of the world, they have their own culture, and then they have a buffet of American pop culture, all in English, easily accessible, all over the place. So they get to see that shit all day. But like, I have my forays are so small. I just saw Worst Person in the World. Like, that's kind of I get 3 or 4 international movies a year. That's my pop culture knowledge outside of the West.
Yeah.
Anyway, are we gonna
unless you decide to lean into it, you gotta
There's too much stuff out there to know. There's just too much information. You got to pick and choose and try to pick good stuff to digest. Dream Scenario. We like it. We love it. We dislike it. We're gonna recommend it. Mama Kay?
I like it. Yeah, I would recommend it.
Interesting hesitation. Like, not even totally.
So much hesitation, only because
nothing really negative about the movie. We've said like parts of like that that it doesn't quite work fully come together, but like nothing. I don't have things wrong with it. It's just not done. It's just like a good first draft or second or third draft.
Sometimes I think though it could just be like we're talking about American culture and our American sensibilities, and when movies are written by other people and. Maybe they could just give a shit about that. So maybe this came out exactly like he wanted to. Like, this was the story he wanted to tell in this manner. And he got Nick Cage to do it. And there you go.
I recommend it.
I mean, he could always contact us and let us know.
I recommend this. as well. It didn't. Yeah. It won't. I won't say it lived up to my expectations because I had Oscar buzz in my head. Nick Cage, top working actor. I mean, that's the thing. Is this still has that buzz? I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a screenplay. I don't know how it doesn't get us like a screenplay nom. This seems like the movie, like the kind of movie that you'd get that. Beyond that, I don't know. But yeah, I recommend this. It's still very good. It's still a 4 out of 5. So. What is that? 2 recommends then? 2 recommends for Dream Scenario. Would. And now the question we ask for whoever the other co-hosts are and who are not on, whoever's not on, with Jess and Nicole, would they like these the Dream Scenario?
Nicole's a no. And I don't know. Jess is kind of a wild card sometimes.
I think Jess could like. I think there's enough quirky, short. It's very short humor too. Like the scenes work as standalone scenes. Like it's not a demanding narrative thrust. There's
not a tough story to follow.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I think if one of them would lean toward it, it would be Jess.
Yeah, I could see Jess. Jess also Jess surprises me with some of her picks. Like she liked Pig too, like another Nick Cage indie. Like I think that was her second favorite movie of that year, if I recall. That was
Pig.
Yeah, it was 2021, not the strongest year, but still, I mean, there's clearly something there, and I'm gonna pick at it. So, 2 recommends for Dream Scenario. If you have things to recommend to us, we'll get to it in Feb once we get through with the Oscar stuff. We also have the usual shows, the top 5 and the draft show coming. We haven't done any of the prep for that stuff yet, so I gotta remember.
I got work to do.
I do got work to do. We're going to be gone. Oh, shit. We're going to be gone with that. I'm going to have to do some back-end work to do some logistical work. We're going to make it all work, but I got to do some...
But it sounds like a lot of work.
I haven't done the thinking yet, but we're going to keep doing reviews every week or every Films with Women in My Life on Facebook. So often. Reach out to me on Instagram. I'm Brennan_podhost. And you can email the show, filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Also on YouTube, look up Films with the Women in My Life. Subscribe, hit all the buttons and bells and shit that makes us get stuff. All right. Thank you for being on for Dream Scenario, Mama K.
I am your nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Till next time, this is Brennan signing off, saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening and enjoy your movies.